Chat rooms from where you scraped this data. Did you purposely go and look for chat rooms with different demographics or from different countries?
Basically, to the extent that it was practical, we simply tried to cast our net as broadly as possible. And without really regard to a chat's content, we just wanted to sweep up as many chats as we could to the point where we could feel that the sampling that we were getting was, kind of representative of the broader range of chat that was out there. So, our philosophical goal was to get everything. We can't really get everything, so we got as much as we possibly could. So it's not in any way curated or selected or edited in terms of...
It will eventually die because chat is dying, you're moving to instant messaging and then to phones and then to all that.
Absolutely. That death of the piece will probably occur before the hardware and software actually give out. Mark likes to say that the internet itself might not exist 5 years from now in any recognizable form. It may have transitioned so totally to kind of other modes of communication that I think we can certainly see the end for this kind of live public chat. Well, it's not clear. I mean, maybe live public chat will find other technologies and continue to migrate in a way that we can continue to adapt listening posts to monitor it. Already it's, IRC, amazingly though, IRC chat, which is a technology that predates the internet, that sort of very low-tech live chat protocol is still around, and it's proving to be, more robust than I think we ever imagined. But one day, surely, it won't really be there anymore, except for a few fanatics, and at that point, listening posts won't have a kind of critical mass of data to tap into. And at that point, we anticipate that we would switch the piece over to run in a kind of playback mode, where all the years of data that it's been collecting would simply play back, and the piece would become, an archive of the moment of chat.
You put it in is it the New York Times, that there's a version, is it movable type? Could you tell us something about that?
Sure. Well, movable type is not really a version of listening post. It's an entirely different piece.
Okay, sorry.
Listening post is, listening to internet chat. A lot of internet chat is in response to the news. So we decided, the New York Times was interested in a piece for their lobby, and we decided that movable type would be a sort of mirror image of listening posts. It's a way of dealing with the news itself as represented by the outflow from the New York Times. So that piece, uses similar kinds of screens, and it uses some similar kinds of techniques in terms of animating text across these screens, but the source is totally different. Instead of very disorganized, very sort of imprecise language that we get with chat, where things generally aren't grammatical, they're not punctuated, they're not spelled correctly. It's just kind of an undifferentiated stream of words that we try to work with. With the New York Times, it's extremely structured. It has nice XML tags, and we can really parse the stories and take little parts of them and kind of what we do is, in a certain way, like listening post takes these chat messages and pulls them apart and then kind of puts them back together again in the form of the artwork. And we do the same thing with news stories. We pull them apart into bits and pieces of language and grammar. And when I watch the piece, it tends to get my imagination going a little bit, because you see these fragments of text and they're positioned next to each other as if they were in conversation or telling a story, but you don't really know where what the context was that these were plopped out of. And so, there's a part of the piece that pulls out a series of phrases that begin with the words "I am." So, you know, I am in Chicago. I am really tired of this election season. I am stuck again here. You know, someone says something like that, and then you wonder, well, who are they, and where are they stuck, and why are they stuck again? And you know, so to me, it's sort of about it's about where my imagination goes in trying to construct or imagine what the context for some of these disembodied statements might be.
The whole show, or whatever it is, the sequence is random. And does it choose words on a preset, or does it just choose words out from nowhere and then create the sequence?
Well, you could see in the piece, at least I would hope, you know, it's structured, right? So there are different sections to it. How much time did you spend in it just now?
We spent a good 10 minutes, I would say, even possibly even longer. When we were
so you saw about half.
Right.
You saw about half of its rotation, but you probably saw 2 or 3 different sections, right?
Oh, 6.
More, 6.
5 or 6 different sections. So each section really has its own logic, and while there's randomness in the various parts of it, in other words, there are certain you know, rolls of the dice to pick this phrase over that phrase. Yeah. There is an underlying logic to it. Like, did you see the section "I am" or
yes.
"I like"?
Yes.
So that section is based on. That's based on an initial insight that Mark had. He did a statistical analysis of all the chat that we were getting, and he asked the question, like, what are the first few words most commonly? What are the most common first few words of any given chat utterance? And it turned out to be "I am" was #1, day after day, consistently. It's always more chat messages start with the words "I am" than any other particular set of words. So, so based on that, we have an algorithm that just scoops up all the phrases that begin with "I am," and it organizes, I think, 80 of them in order of shortest to longest, and then it strings them together and then it puts them up in that scene that you saw.
Thank you, Ben. That was really...
So that's one example. Another part of the piece where there's a kind of chanting that the words go around the room. In that one, the logic is it's looking at the least frequently occurring words in the last 2 hours. And it just runs that list of some 100 and some odd of the least frequently occurring words, or words that only showed up once. So that's the logic there. So, you know, obviously there's randomness even in that, because there are far more words that only showed up once than we could use. So we're rolling the dice, in a sense, when we choose those words, but we're choosing from among the words that only showed up once, so that there's an underlying logic.
How consciously it was choreographed, how you worked that out?
Well, I think it's very conscious in the sense that, you know, we tried to structure each of these movements in the piece, you know, to some degree theatrically, or think about them like a song in a sense, so that they're structured. They have some beginning and build up and ending to some degree, and within each one, it's just pursuing its own sort of individual compositional logic. The I am builds up. It starts out in the center, and then it fills up kind of randomly. It fills up, each new message comes randomly onto a new screen, and at the end the whole thing kind of irises down back to the central screen. Others of them obviously sweep across in one direction or the other, and another one kind of comes down